This is a Musclecat Media production. Weekend Pickoff with the Xbots, Spoon and Eric, getting you set for this weekend of games. Spoon, just quickly, two things are hot in this world. One of them is the Toronto Blue Jays. They continue to roll. They're doing it in different ways. They have the most wins in the AL. They beat the Tigers. Should I be buying into this Blue Jays hype now? And to keep this in betting themed with your picks for the weekend coming up, is there still value in betting on the Jays? Because just less than a week ago, they were 240 to win the division, and that's shorter.
Yeah, I think we had that little sidebar today. I'm actually just bypassing the division altogether and going straight for the World Series at 19s. I think I kind of want to do that before the deadline because I think the Jays will make moves and we sort of, theorize what they could be, whether it's adding a starter or a couple of relievers that, the lineup is already quite strong. I think depending on what moves they are, the market will react accordingly. And I think we could be looking at a Blue Jays team that come August are sort of single digits to win the World Series. So go get that 19s right now. It won't last long.
That 19s is on Sportsbet. And let's just rephrase this right now because I don't want this to sound like a homer pick for the Jays too. But regardless of the Jays, if you closed your eyes, let's just fast forward and change sports. Let's go to the NFL. It's week 12 of the NFL season. There's less than a third of the season left to play, or a third of the season left to play, whatever it is. Week 12 of the NFL. If I told you that I would give you 19-1 odds for a Super Bowl win for the team that has the best record in the AFC, regardless of looking at who that team is, would you take that bet?
Absolutely. I mean, it's like I reckon the last couple of years when the Detroit Lions are looking really good and you can always get some probably unfairly juicy odds about them to win it all. And maybe that example doesn't bode that well for Toronto because, they've kind of fallen short both times in the playoffs. But yeah, we're here to take value, and you take the 19s now, they win the division, they win the first round. All of a sudden, you can start playing around and hedging a little bit too, which is really the best way to play a futures market like the World Series. When you've got the Dodgers in at $3.10, if you're holding a ticket on a team at 19s, you can kind of take some off the table along the way.
I hammered them to win the division at 240 earlier in this week just because, it's still a 4-game lead, right? Lots can happen. It's still not a guarantee. But again, it's just disrespectful that they're at 240s. It is crazy right now. They're playing some good defense. Anyways, the other one that's hot is you. You keep making picks that are coming good right now. You've entered mid-season form, which is a fine form. And I know you got a couple more picks for us today. But you're feeling hot still?
Yeah, I was definitely worried the All-Star break was just going to kind of break some of that mojo that was sort of coming along just before the break. But yeah, no, managed to pull off that Giants team total earlier in the week down to the last strike. I think Matt Chapman ripped a double down the left field line. And you're hot when things like that are going your way, as opposed to, sort of March, April when we kicked things off. Those were the ones that would be, one run short here or there. So let's hope I can keep it flowing heading into the weekend Pickoff.
You're making me some money. So let's get into the two picks. I'm going to start with mine this time because I have a pick that I want to lock in and one that I want your help on. So I got to go to the guy that's hot. And I just want to play one guy because he's interesting. But let's start the guy that is interesting because he's good, but not really a surprise. Logan Webb is starting tomorrow. He is going against a pretty good team, and that doesn't strike out too often in the Mets, but you can get him at 7+ for 240. He's averaging 6.7 strikeouts per game in 21 appearances. Last 3 starts have been less than 6, but he's been regularly rolled out there for over 100+. He's had games where he's run up strikeout titles of 12, 13 in games this year. He's one of the best. I feel like he's due for a bounce-back game. This is a big game for the Giants just in general in terms of wanting to make sure of their playoff positioning. The over-under line is set at 5.5. I would just jump on that, but the odds are just $1.73 or whatever it is. You can get him 7+ for 240. So I'm going to jump on it because I just like Logan Webb. I think he's due for a big start. And that 7 mark is right around where his average strikeouts are in his 21 appearances so far. One of the best pitchers in the league. What say you?
Yeah, it's really interesting. I was sort of having another look just before at the team strikeout rates on the season now, and What really jumped out to me is like you, I've been kind of operating under the Mets being a strikeout prevention side. I guess what's happened for them the last few weeks is that's no longer been the case because they've dropped to 11th on the season. And this is a team that most of the year was top 3, top 5. The Soto factor is obviously huge there as far as strikeout prevention. But yeah, they're down to 11th in baseball in strikeout rate, a rate that drops even worse when they're on the road like they are tomorrow. So I think that's great value at that $2.40 mark for a guy who will give you 100 pitches. The team's shown that they are happy to keep trotting him back out there. They let him pitch out of jams. He probably goes 6 to 7 innings and you're just asking him to pick up 1 per. So I think that's a great price.
The other one is not a sentence that I thought I'd say. And now I want to kind of get into the mind of you, Spoon, on how we can craft this bet because there's a few different markets. But let's just add some context here. If you had told me in April that I would be really evaluating some strong pitcher markets for a pitcher named Adrian Hauser, I would have just told you you're a liar straight out. I would have laughed you out of the room, Spoon. But this guy's 32 years old, and he's coming into Friday's game. It's the Chicago crosstown battle between the White Sox and the Cubs. He's the White Sox pitcher. He's coming in with a 1.89 ERA, and those numbers are lower, season average lower in his last 5 games. He's got a 1.65 ERA over his last 5 starts. Now, Adrian Hauser is all of a sudden a very good pitcher. He's playing the Cubs, who are a good strikeout prevention team. They strike out just 20% of the time. Shota Imanaga is also starting. And there's a few markets that intrigue me, but I want to lock in a bet, and you can help me out. Now, things that have popped my eye. Strikeouts, 5+ strikeouts at 2.55. Now, he's got a 1.89 ERA this year. The Cubs don't strike out a lot, but he has struck out in his last 9 starts. He's had 6+ strikeouts in 9. He's hit that total in 6 of his last 9 starts, which would be the 5+. Now, Cubs again don't strike out a lot, but Shota Imanaga is also in the mound. So I also want to figure out a bet, whether it's the over 4.5 strikeouts, the 5+ strikeouts for Hauser at 2.55, whether it's the team total under, which is the Cubs at 4.5 is the over-under line. You can get value taking the Cubs under. The game total is 8.5 just for the record. But I also kind of like the no-run first inning line. Like, if this is a game where you're going to get a no-run first inning, which is sometimes a little fun bet to play when you got 2 teams that you don't really care about and you pay attention for the first one, there's a few options there. But I kind of want to attach my horse to Adrian Hauser just because it's fun and there's probably some value there. So help me dissect this map for maybe our listeners can see how your mind operates.
Yeah, well, first of all, I like it. I like, as you know, checking under rocks and sort of finding that value where it's not normally found. And that's usually done in bad teams or pitchers with sort of, lasting reputation of not necessarily being great. And this ticks those boxes. Having a little click around there while you were talking, and this is just on sports bet, so you might be able to sort of price shop better elsewhere. You can do a same game multi with both guys to get 4 or more strikeouts at $2.25. You can then do a same game multi with both guys to get 5 or more strikeouts, and that's paying $4. Or you could do one where they both get 6 or more strikeouts, and that's paying $9.25. So that might be a really fun way to kind of leverage where you're thinking there. And, at that $2.25 mark for 4 each, you'd think that there's a pretty decent chance there. And if that's the base of your ladder, and then you kind of, any potential profit, you start to scale up the 5 and 6 there, it's a chance where you could have a fill up if both guys, manage that 6 strikeout mark and you hit it at 9-1 and also the 4 and the 2.20. But you can kind of give yourself a little bit of insurance there because without looking at his game log, I'm assuming with numbers like that, he would have hit the 4 mark quite consistently. And we know what Shota's capable of, and the White Sox are a high strikeout team. So I think a potential way that you might want to play that sort of combines a few of the things you're talking about just then is, the 4+ each, the 5+, and maybe even the 6+ each.
Well, on his game log, 5+ is the norm. The only problem is that the Cubs don't strike out a lot. So I think he's going to have a good start. I just think there might be a lot of contact. So I kind of like taking the strikeout off of that and making it 2 guys at 4+ at 2.25, Hauser and Shota, with a little top up at 2 guys at 6+ for 925. Because I feel like Shota's the better chance, even if he has a rocky start versus a bad White Sox offense. But yeah, I kind of like sometimes just like finding those feel good stories too and hitching my wagon to them. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to do the 4+. That's going to be my other pick. Hauser and Shota, 4+ each at 225. And the other one is Logan Webb at 7+. Both plays for tomorrow.
It's interesting as well. I think Adrian Hauser's ex-Milwaukee, I believe, and I reckon he spent a few years there. So he probably has been pitching against the Cubs for a while. You know, those guys that kind of, and that doesn't necessarily favor one way or the other sometimes. It's just like, there are those guys that, you know, they've had like 10, 15 starts against one team. So yeah, it'll be interesting what kind of adjustments I guess they both make. And Shota, on the other hand, probably hasn't started against the White Sox at all. So yeah, a few storylines to follow, and I like the thinking.
All right, let's hear your 2 Spoon.
All right, so I've got a couple of player performance doubles tomorrow, both with potential little tasty top-up options. The first one, it's a guy we've spoken about a little bit. We were really excited to watch him on that first Sunday night baseball game after the All-Star break, and he was scratched with back tightness, which, look, when we sort of read that report out, I think this time last week, it was a little bit more concerning and maybe the start of a longer layoff. But he is starting tomorrow. I'm talking about Nathan Eovaldi, and he's starting at home against the Braves. Now, look, he's missed too many starts to be in serious contention for awards, but his numbers are right there, as good as Tarek Skubal or Garrett Crochet as far as American League Cy Young pitching. His strikeouts have been great. His numbers have just sort of consistently been really solid. And look, this is a team that you and I both think can make a playoff push in the American League. And that's going to need to start by winning these sorts of series against a Braves team who are probably in a similar spot to the D-backs, right? Like, it's curtains now. We're selling, you know, these are teams now that have said, we don't think we can make the playoffs. You have to be winning those. The Texas Rangers have to be winning these games. And I think the lineup tomorrow will reflect that. So I'm looking at Nathan Eovaldi, 6 or more strikeouts, and the Rangers to win at $2.90. And then a little top up as well on the 8 or more and the win at $7.25. And I know there's a little bit of risk there given the injury history. And look, if they're winning by enough, they're not going to take any chances. We're probably not seeing more than 6 innings. But look, that said, this is an Atlanta team that strike out 21st most in baseball. They do swing and miss quite freely. And I think now that they know where their season is at, you're probably going to see some younger guys coming up and taking some more hacks too. So that's the first one. Eovaldi 6+ and then 8+ on the top up at a couple of nice prices there. The second one, and it might be a little spoiler because I put on my brand new James Wood jersey just for this episode. I may have gotten things a little wrong on the Washington Nationals this year, and they're a little bit below where I would have liked to see them as far as their win total. The one constant for them as a team this year has been the brilliance of Mackenzie Gore. And I don't expect that to change tomorrow. The Twins are a team, I mean, you and I spoke earlier about them as a potential suitor for a Toronto Blue Jays trade partner. I think the Twins are going to be, at worst, retooling, if not rebuilding. And to see them kind of favorites against a Nationals team that are in a similar position, but with one guy pitching at like ace level, all-star level, and the other guy nowhere near, sort of caught my eye initially as the price of the win market being wrong. Diving a little bit deeper then on the player performance doubles, and again, this is a twin side who are sort of middle of the road at strikeout rate. Mackenzie Gore 6 or more strikeouts and the Nationals to win, paying $3.30, looks like great value to me. And then topping up on the 8 and the win at $6.50 also looks like great value. Mackenzie Gore, I mean, he set the stage earlier this season. I think opening day he had 13 strikeouts, and he has accumulated some huge tallies throughout the season since then. He has been the one rock in this national side from a pitching point of view all year. And he'll be looking to cap off, you know, even though this Nat side is going nowhere as far as any playoff ambitions, he's going to be looking to cap off the first season where things are finally clicked for him, and set the stage for a big couple of years to come as he sort of approaches that first free agency contract. So really excited to see Mackenzie Gore tomorrow. Really excited to see what the Nationals can do against a sort of middling Minnesota team. And I think we're getting some nice prices there to find out.
You know why I also like the Mackenzie Gore pick is because his last start, he was bad, right? Like, and I don't mean that because he's a bad pitcher. Like, Mackenzie Gore is a great pitcher. He has proven he is now one of the best consistently in the league, but he was not good versus the Padres in that first game out of the All-Star break. And that can be for a whole multitude of reasons. My point is, pitchers this good don't have starts this bad 2 times in a row. Like the odds are Mackenzie Gore is going to have a pretty solid start tomorrow because that's just the caliber he is. So I'm not concerned at all because of the last start. And if anything, I'm relieved because that bad start is out of the way and he should just go on a nice little run here. I like it. I also like the Rangers. I mean, I love Eovaldi. And you also know that we talked about it, man. Like the Rangers are now a game and a half back. They've won 3 in a row. Yep. If they win this weekend, if they sweep the Braves this weekend, which is a possibility, dude, could we be talking about the Rangers by when we talk on Monday in a playoff spot? That is how legit this thing is starting to become.
Yeah, and there'll be even money then all of a sudden as opposed to the sort of $4.50, $5 we were talking just 10 days ago. So, yeah, things have happened quickly. They might still be buyers and sort of add a couple of pieces as well. I think exciting time still to be a Rangers fan. They've weathered the storm of their early season scuffles. I mean, Corey Seager, since he's come back, has just been raking. And that's really all that's held him back this year is availability to some of their stars. And that's sort of coming good now.
So our ticket is 4+ for both Hauser and Shota at 225. Logan Webb, 7+ at 240 for the strikeouts. Then a player performance double. So you got Nathan Eovaldi at 6+ strikeouts and the Rangers to win at 290. That's a multi into each other. Top off at 8+ strikeouts and the win at some pretty tasty value. And then Mackenzie Gore at 6+ and their Nationals win at 330. Top up at 8 and at 8 and a win at 650. Those are 4 plays for you to get you through your Friday night, Saturday morning. Spoon, it's always a pleasure talking to you.
You too, man. We got some nice prices there. If we can pick up a few of those, I think we're going to be talking happy days on Monday.
We actually just need 2 of those to hit, and we're profitable. Just Big 2, yep. Right? Just 2. That's all we ask. 3, and we're drinking some adult beverages at the pub. That's how it goes. All right, Spoon. Have a good one.
You too, brother.